Hello, welcome to another episode of the Jiu-Jitsu Therapy Podcast. I'm Coach Chris Mize. I'm joined today with Coach Michael McGrath, Coach Bill Freeman, and last but definitely not least, Coach Chris Boland, who is our producer and the man behind the curtain.
Behind the scene.
That's right. So today's topic, guys, is bad communication ruining your jiu-jitsu training? And I know that may baffle some of you with that being the topic, but jiu-jitsu, as is in life, communication is the secret of all things. So when I say that, we just got to communicate with our partners, communicate with our instructor, and all those things. But guys, what's your perspective on that, just from the statement itself?
Mike blanked out on you again. I saw the look in his eyes.
Mike, the question is.
I know about the communication.
Yeah.
I think early on it did. Yeah, I had bad communication by not communicating. I wouldn't roll with him. I wouldn't train with him because I was like intimidated.
Intimidated by me?
Yeah. And then but as well,
It's a snapshot, people. It's a snapshot.
Okay. Lack of communicating, let's say in the classes, I didn't want, if I didn't really understand something, I'd kind of go with the flow, or and then it took quite a while for me to gain the confidence. Say, you know what, I really didn't get that. Can you show me again? Yeah, or to speak up, and that took a couple of years for me to really get that confidence to be able to speak up.
Yeah, that's my catchphrase. When I ask anybody if they have a question, and they all stare at me, I'm like, experts, right? And then
Yeah, I mean, it's at the point that you're an adult, you shouldn't have that feeling like, I don't want to look stupid by asking a question.
Right.
But I mean, it's very much there. I mean, everybody feels that you see it in every class. And I mean, I think our communication in our school is very good. Anyway, but still, people are still like that. They don't want to, and some of the definitions some people bring us, I don't understand it enough to ask the question. That's what some people's excuse is.
I think that's fair though. I think a lot of times, you just kind of glaze over. You're like, I'll get it when we start doing it. I'll feel it, and my partner will show it to me or whatever.
Yeah. I think when you start looking at like pairing with somebody, and a lot of times we kind of encourage everyone to kind of, people tend to migrate and have the same partners sometimes if you let them just do their own thing, and there's nothing wrong with that to a certain degree, but everybody needs to work with everybody. Again,
I'm glad that you brought that up because I've had to separate a couple of partner groups in your school that I don't know why they just gravitate towards each other, and it's not the fact that you shouldn't have a training partner that you like and trust and that you learn with, but when you tend to goof off more than you're truly training, then I don't understand why you're there, but I think it's distracting to other groups as well.
Right. Well, that's true. I think we really encourage our higher ranked belts to work with lower ranked people anyway, and kind of facilitate that communication process and help them out and get over the bumps and the sticky spots. So we try to encourage that communication, and that's why we let like I said, the higher belts kind of take the lead and work with the lower belts. Putting two very beginning white belts together to work together, I mean, that's just frustration to watch. To me, so it's for my benefit as well to put them with somebody that knows what they're doing to kind of make it better. But again, there's so much, I guess, anxiety, and again, that's probably why a lot of people don't do jiu-jitsu anyway, is because they have anxiety about, one, the physical contact, two, the nature of what we do, the combativeness of it, the potential competitiveness of it. So that could definitely shut the communication part down. I mean, I could see how that could happen. So you need to have an environment to where you're really encouraging that. I think, when you say, even when we talk about this, and I know Bill, one of the things he's going through, we've talked about a period of time, Bill always starts off a role with people when he's dealing with people that are, lower ranked than him, he'll say, what do you want to work? What are you working on right now? He'll ask them, even with the role, what position do you need to kind of start with? Where do we need to start? Maybe in the role, or if we're just going to freestyle. But he'll say, hey, what are you trying to do? So maybe we can start out in that position so that you can get your time into that position.
Which is a good opportunity for you to tell your partner if you get a sore something.
True. Yeah, don't pull on that. Yeah.
Right. Well, also, if you're asking your training partner where they want to start, we'll do that. But then in the process of the role, at some point, hopefully every time, at least what I do, is where do you want this to take you in this role? I mean, I'm not trying to beat you here. I'm trying to help you work on your technique. And in the process, there's always something you can learn. If I'm getting smashed in a role by someone, even inexperienced person, I can learn from that, because that's sort of what's going to happen on the street. You're not going to have somebody trying to armbar you, they're going to be trying to kill you. So you want to try to be able to weather all that.
We got there.
Yeah.
Truth. So yes, I mean, but
But
you're absolutely correct.
But communication.
The variables.
Communication, and I tell my daughter, I said, that is probably the most important word in the human language. It's communication. Lack of it, how you do it,
But then,
when you don't do it.
yeah. But then, so we're going into rolling. You talk about communication during rolling or prior to rolling with somebody. I think the first 2 or 3 years of me rolling, I didn't communicate. It was a battle, I was like, I'm not going to get beat.
Now, when you say you didn't communicate, was that something that you didn't know? You didn't know what to say when you say you didn't want to get beat. You just wanted to win, or
Yeah,
what?
that was it. I didn't want to get beat. I wanted to win, and it was a competition, with whoever I was rolling with, to a point. And then, several years down the line, it was like, I didn't really learn too much from that situation. And now I'll do very similar to what Bill said is, hey, what do you want to work on? Or, let's just take it easy,
I think there's a fine balance to that, though. I mean, I think there's what you guys are saying that is definitely correct. That you should do that in order to build your game.
Yeah.
But from time to time, you do have to say, let's just roll, man. Let's see. I got some stuff. You do what you're gonna do, and I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and see what's going on. And I don't think it's being overly competitive with your training partners. But unless you're competing in tournaments all the time, you kind of got to see if those little tidbits you're working on are pulling off.
I agree, but I'm not going to do that with just anybody.
Right.
Oh, completely fair.
Right.
Completely
Yeah.
fair.
You have to earn that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. You have to earn it because I trust you now. I trust Chris. I trust Bill. That I'm not going to get hurt, and it's not going to get to that level where it gets ugly.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that.
So it's not just going to happen with just anybody.
Well, and as a new white belt, it's just Katie bar the door. Anyway, a lot of times, it's just crazy. It's a Whitesnake concert, and I mean, so.
Well, yeah, and it can get out of hand pretty quick.
Oh yeah,
It's definitely a fascinating phenomenon. You know what I'm saying? When you get some new guy, especially if you get anybody that's got any alpha in them, whether they're in law enforcement or they're in, military, whatever, man, they think, or, used to wrestle in high school or played football, anything they do anything that's competitive, have that competitive sense. White belt is a rough first year, for them, and they will not communicate.
But and we're not just, I think what happens as well is we're not just talking about verbal communication. You can feel within a few seconds whether or not the person you're rolling with is trying to hurt you.
Oh, sure.
So
do you think that there's some miscommunication in that? Because there's some people that are just fucking strong. Like Bill, when Bill grabs hold of you, it's like a man grabbing a hold of you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you're like, damn, what level is he taking it to? But it's just that Bill is strong as hell.
But I think, Bill's skilled, strong, but I can also feel that he's not
trying to kill you,
being a jackass about it. Yeah, exactly. Same with you. You're strong, you're skilled. And I don't think that you want to hurt anybody. You know what I'm saying?
And of course, we're not doing the backhanded compliment of, yeah, you're strong.
Yeah,
That's
that's not that bad.
I can see Bill over there's like, strong.
No, I mean,
You know,
I mean strong with good technique, but it's just funny. I mean, because I'm
fit.
Because I was saying I've rolled with people, man. They grab me by the wrist. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a farmer grip right there.
That's right. That's right. Well, I like I said, it's when you one, the communication allows you to know where you can go and where you can't safely. And, we're always trying to bring the level of everybody up to make them be better training partners for us. That's the nature of jiu-jitsu. You want people to be better, and you also don't want to break them, meaning not just physically, but mentally, which can happen too. The ego can only take so much too. So the communication helps you kind of buffer that, because there is that sharp curve early on in your training to where it's like you're meeting a wall, because like I said, a lot of it's new, and especially you're on with a lot of people who, have been doing it a while. It's like I said, you're going to do that, but that's just part of it. But I think we can all kind of agree on that. Like I said, it's the varying degrees of communication that you have and what you need to do, and whether you're just talking about, even if you're just drilling, I think it's important to start giving feedback to your partner and saying, hey, rather than just let somebody go through a move, and that's also don't be a dick though and just give too much where you're fighting it too.
Well, I've made that mistake too. Is I've given letting somebody work too much, and it was my miscommunication. Next thing you know, they've locked on something. They may have been a lower rank or whatever, and you're just kind of playing and letting them work, and they get that false sense of, oh, I'm doing something. Next thing you know, you got this guy trying to strangle you to death instead of just flow rolling, and so.
Or hyperextending your arm.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Yeah, so you definitely have to, as far as communication goes, you definitely have to figure that out with that person.
Well, people have to cut their teeth in jiu-jitsu, and part of that is learning the limitations of their own body, and to take care of their brothers and sisters, that are next to them. You got to keep your training partners healthy to a certain degree too. You can't just go reckless abandon and just try to just rip everybody's arms off and crush everybody's windpipes. And I think that you don't hang around very long if you're like that. That's why a lot of people do a lot of school jumping. A lot of times, they'll be being kind of forced out, if you will, of one place to the next. Just because they haven't found a school that matches up to what they want to do. Well, their way may not be the right way,
And I've been to schools that'll run you off as well.
Right.
There's some schools that's like, Jesus, they try to kill each other every day, thinking that's the way to be.
Well, the longevity in the art is not through that. I mean, if you're going to do it, and I've had people tell me, so how long, it's kind of a trick question. You say, how long do you see yourself doing jiu-jitsu? I'm talking about guys that have got several years in. And I'll say, if they ever say, just probably about 5 or 6 more years, I'm like, okay. Did you really, is that what you had in mind, Because to me, it's always a lifelong endeavor. How do you not do it? Your jiu-jitsu will have to change, but some guys can't. They can't allow their self to say, okay, I'm going to be losing a certain amount of this, so they need to adapt. Their game needs to change, and their role has to change in what they're doing. They're not all, there may not be the hammer anymore, and you have to understand that. One, it keeps you healthy too. The body's not meant to take that kind of abuse all the time, You just got to be smart. But yeah, so I think basically what we all kind of agree on is, you got to learn to communicate with your training partners. We didn't even talk about the instructor component, which you need to discuss with your instructor what your expectations are, maybe what your goals are. Let them kind of critique you a little bit, and and just say, hey, what do I need to be working on?
All right, how do you do that especially if you're white to early blue? How do you do that without coming across as somebody that's arrogant, or maybe, like they're a know-it-all or something? How do you approach an instructor and saying that you, are looking for something different or more, or or something of that nature? You've been a coach a long time.
Well, I would think when people say, "Hey, coach, what do I need to be working on next?" I mean, what do I need to do to advance my game? I mean, just technically, what am I doing wrong? I'm getting caught here. I'm getting caught there. Sometimes they give an actual example, and you can watch them when they roll, and you can tell kind of what the problems are. I think one thing about jiu-jitsu and probably the being able to analyze. Because you do it now, and these guys, they'll do it too. Now we're moving, everybody in this room is functioning in a teacher role, and the longer you do it, the more you can watch something and can kind of tell what's going on and how you fix it. So I think it's, you should just have an open mind, but you should, if you have a good communication process with your instructor, that's not going to come across like that. It's not going to come across like, hey, hey, I feel like I'm doing this, or I think I'm ready for my purple belt. You don't really get, it's not that, So what do I need to do to get to this? If somebody says, what do I need to do to get my blue belt?
I'm gonna buy a red belt.
Oh, that's always good. Just go to a Taekwondo school. They'll probably
just hang it on the wall over
just
there.
hang it over there and just beat it to hell.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's probably the closest I'll ever get to one. So
That's right.
so, but just again, having a good state of mind when you go to talk to people, and I know some people just have a tough time. Everybody seems like they're like trying to stir up trouble sometimes when you talk about things. But just ask more questions instead of making statements. I think, well, who was it said you should just always just listen more? Listen more to what's going on and what people are saying. And so, like I said, always ask questions. Always ask questions. People, I think, respect you more for asking questions. And I always have to question myself: is that a good question before I ask it? But make sure they didn't just answer that question before you ask it. But just ask more questions and try to develop good relationships with all your training partners and instructors, so that you have good, just like you would talk to a friend and just discuss things. Everybody good with that? Bill? Getting a lot of nods. So
Getting a lot of nods.
Bill's nodding.
Bill's nodding, which is a big thing, so we're good. So, but anyway, guys, all right. Well, go out there and communicate better. That's the deal. So thanks for listening to this episode of Jiu-Jitsu Therapy. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Comment, give us ideas about what you want us to talk about. We want it to be for you guys. We want it to be entertaining, informative, and just kind of give us an idea. Like I said, it's for you guys. We want it to be something that you look forward to, and like I said, try to listen to us as often as you can. Okay? Thanks, and have a good week.